Hello, everyone. We are live. Happy Friday. So, this is going to be part one of our three-part series of why some bodies look boxy and how to avoid it. So, this is essentially talking about how we can create a nice muscular physique that is still tailored towards an hourglass shape, such as like the bikini bodybuilding look. Just because I have heard so many times people saying, I don't want to start lifting heavy because I don't want to look like a man. I don't want to get boxy. First things first, that shit is hard to do. Okay? Like, you're gonna have to put in a lot of work to build muscle in general. So, the likelihood that you just wake up and you are just like, oh shit, I put on too much muscle is very slim. But with that being said, if we are building the muscle, we can still do it in a very specific and methodical way. So when we are adding muscle to our frame, we are adding it in areas that are going to give us an hourglass shape. So there is, like I said, three different parts to this series. Today we are just going to be talking specifically about the core. Now I am going to share my screen with you because I want to pull up some photos. This screen here. Okay, perfect. These are going to be two examples or two photos we are going to look at for examples. So on the left-hand side, we have the beautiful Ashley Coltwasser. She is an IFBB Bikini Pro. And then on the right-hand side, we have another lovely lady with a beautiful physique. I don't know her name, to be totally honest. I just got a picture off of Google. But you can see that these two people are both very muscular, but they do have two different types of physiques, especially when it comes regarding to their shape. Now, before I go too far, I want to make a disclaimer that everybody that I show has an amazing, beautiful physique. They work extremely hard for their bodies. They are strong, they are muscular, they are healthy, they look fantastic. There isn't one body that is better than the other. At the end of the day, it all comes down to personal preference and what you specifically want. So there is no hate or negativity towards one body shape or the other, just for learning purposes on how to create a hourglass shape. We are going to be using these different bodies as an example. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's break down why the core on these two people look different. Now, right off the bat, I want to say genetics, they do play a role. But there is a lot of other things that are going on that are affecting the core to look the way that it does. Now, this is what I do with all of my bodybuilding competitors. I will do a physical evaluation like this, so then that way we can determine what muscles we need to build up or not build up to create a certain look. I am a bodybuilder myself. I am an IPE Bikini Pro. I've been bodybuilding for a handful of years, and I have clients that are doing the exact same. You can see Ashley on the right, or sorry, the left-hand side. She has beautifully defined abs. I actually used her for a specific reason. Now, if you look on to the other side, so the person on the right-handed side, she still has beautifully developed abs as well. But there is one muscle on the core that is more developed on the person on the right hand side that is creating a little bit more of that boxy look. So really we're going to be paying attention to two main muscles on the core. Now there is a lot more than just two muscles when it comes to the core, but these are going to be the two muscles that we can visually see as much and makes really most of the difference. A lot of the other core muscles are going to be more of those deep inner muscles that you can't really see from the outside. So the first one we are going to be talking about are the obliques. So the obliques are going to be this muscle right on the side of the core. So you can see where my mouse is. I'm going to be circling it. It runs basically up and down on the sides of your abdomen. Now, to this person that is on the right hand side, her obliques are very developed. You can tell because you can see this line right down here at the bottom of her physique. You can also tell because those muscles on the side of her core look a lot more popped out and they look a lot more 3D. And that's just because those muscles are more developed. Ab muscles are just like any other muscle on your body. The bigger the muscle is, the more developed, the more it's going to stand out. Um, Now, when we are wanting an hourglass shape, so the shape that goes in and goes out, we don't want that muscle on the side right here to be too thick and developed because otherwise that is going to be adding more width to our waist. And if we are adding more width to our waist, we're not going to be having that hourglass shape. Now, if we go back to Ashley's physique, so the female on the left hand side, she still has very developed abs, but her obliques specifically, those muscles right on the side of her core, aren't very heavily developed. And you can tell because they're nice and flat. Yes, you have some definitions where you can still see some lines in that area, but there's no big muscle that is bulging out. So there's no muscle there that is adding width to her core. When it comes to bikini physique, so like an hourglass physique, we mainly focus on the rectus abdominis, which is the ab muscles right in the middle here. So those muscles that are traditionally like your six pack abs that you think about. And again, even in regards of this muscle here, she has nice rectus abdominis. She has some good slight lines in the middle of the core, but it's nothing crazy where she's getting any type of like turtle shell abs, where the abs are really prominent and they're really sticking out. So it really comes to finding that balance of having enough core definition where you have those lines and you have that definition, but nothing absolutely crazy where that area is going to be overdeveloped. A huge thing between both of these ladies here is that they are carrying a very lean physique, meaning there's not a lot of body fat on them. And that is honestly a huge thing when it comes to having abs in general, bulky or not. You have to have a nice lean physique to actually see those muscles come through, especially if your goal is to have a nice hourglass shape. And like I said previously, we don't want to have crazy overdeveloped abs. So to combat that, we want to make sure that we are lean enough as well. So first thing is the obliques. Now, we can even go into another great example here on the left hand side. This is Sid. She is a figure IFBB pro. So she again is a professional bodybuilder. She is in the figure division. So that is one step up from bikini. So she has a lot more muscle than a bikini competitor like Ashley has. Because someone could look at these two photos right here and argue and say, well, the person on the right-hand side, she just has more muscle than the person on the left-hand side. That's why she looks bulkier. Okay, to a certain extent, sure, you could argue and say she does have more muscle. But in that case, we can compare the person here on the right to Sid down here on the left. And they both have very good muscular development. Sid has a buttload of muscle, okay? Looking at that beautiful physique, there is absolutely no doubt about that. But you can still see that she has a very good hourglass shape. Her waist tapers in, and she's got that nice, small, tight core. So, looking at that, it's like, okay, so it's not necessarily the muscle development that is the issue. Why are these two people, person on the right and then Sid here on the left, who both have really good large amount of muscles, why does Sid have that hourglass shape and that other person does not? And that comes down to lat development. Now, this is where it starts to get a little funny because you're like, lats. Lats are a muscle on your back. Why does a muscle on your back have to do anything with how your core looks? And that's because your lats are going to be that back muscle right here. Now, if your lats are very developed, it's going to create that V taper going down into your waist. And if you've ever seen figure competitors, the main muscle that they work and that they have very dominant on their figure is lats. And the reason for that is because they need so much more muscle for the division that they are in. If they would not have bigger dominating lats, it would make that core look more boxy. Because if you look at Sid's core right here, you can see that line right on the bottom of her obliques. Just like that same line that I pointed out on this lady here, right at the bottom when I said that her obliques are very developed. So her obliques, very developed. Looking at Sid's obliques down here, again, very developed. You can see that line going all the way up her core, all the way down on the side. You can see that whole bottom down here. You can see that whole chunk of obliques. Um, so because her obliques are so defined, to combat that boxy look, she adds, in addition, a well-developed lat area. So then that way you get the lat that tapers in, and then you have the obliques that go down. So you're still technically creating that hourglass illusion through having nice lats. The person on the right hand here, still very muscular, still probably has very strong lats, but it's not in proportion to where the lats are the biggest upper body muscle, where it's creating more of that V taper. And that's what's really interesting about the bodybuilding world. It really comes down to the balance of the muscle you have. It's not just about having muscle wherever and being a muscular person. It comes to what muscles are dominating over the other. Because you can have well-developed muscles everywhere, but depending on what muscle is taking over is what's really going to determine your shape. So, to sum all of it up, why these physiques look different is because the bikini competitor, so the person right here, Ashley, on the left-hand side, does not have massive oblique development. The bikini competitors have more of an emphasis on the rectus abdominis, so just the ab muscles right in the middle of the core. And then also we have that lat development that is going to create that upper V taper on that upper body. That is going to create that illusion of having that smaller waist. So with those three things combined together, that is how you can create that hourglass shape and avoid looking boxy within that core. Now, all of this does come down to just being very specific on how you train and how you build muscle on your body. So if you are looking for a training program that is specifically tailored to creating an hourglass shape, let me know. I am going to also drop a link in the comment section and in the description section to my app that is going to have a bikini training program. That training program is going to be exactly what you want to build that nice, muscular, but still feminine physique. So I do have limited spots for that just because it is a private app. So I do have spots available now. If you are wanting to take up that workout program, follow the link, take up one of the spots while you can. But otherwise, that is going to be everything for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.